Hey, this is Lynn. I never do these kind of random impromptu live streams, but I decided to do it. My carnivore community friends have been encouraging me to get on here and just start talking. So I figured, oh well, might as well. I'm home by myself. My husband's still working. My daughter went off to work, and I figured I'm going to give it a try, see what happens, see if anybody jumps on. But it is Wednesday, December the 27th, and I'm assuming everyone had hopefully a really nice holiday. And I thought I'd just share some things that are going on with me. Um, I have Christmas was great. Like, I did not cheat at all on Christmas. I had ram, I keep wanting to say ram liblets, lamb riblets. And so that's pretty much all we had for Christmas Day. We just ate meat, which was really cool, and didn't have any issues at all with food. Now, my husband was saying that at work they had like a zillion sweets lining the halls of his work, and he did really good, and he didn't mess up at all, which was really cool. So we did well, and I ended up losing more weight, which was really good. Now, I had been on the lion diet for about 6 weeks, and I've little by little been kind of experimenting with adding some food back. So I decided to give it a try and see yesterday what would happen if I added some things back that I haven't had for a while. And so I actually had like an egg scramble with some shredded cheese and then these lamb sausages, because I hadn't had eggs and I hadn't had any dairy for quite a while, and absolutely paid for it today. I had horrible abdominal cramps. It's like my IBS just kicked back in, and I had really bad abdominal cramping. And I have definitely learned my lesson. I am not going to do that again. So I don't know if it was the eggs or the dairy. If I probably should have just tested one and not another to see whether or not, which one of them was going to cause a problem for me. But absolutely didn't do well at all. Like, I was in a lot of pain. And so I see somebody comes on. I keep getting 0 and 1 viewers. And I know this is kind of a weird time of the day, I guess, and to do this kind of impromptu, but, anyways, I learned my lesson. I may try to do eggs again and then maybe separately try dairy so I can see which one caused the pain. But man, I was in agony, kind of almost double over pain today after doing the dairy last night. So I can just see I'm going to have to continue to be super strict and not do any dairy for sure. Um, but I had another really cool thing today. So I don't know if you watched my Monday update, my weekly update, but I went clothes shopping for the first time since I started to lose weight. And I actually figured out that my size has shrunk dramatically. And I was looking in the plus size section, and I was able to, like, before I was like a 3 and a 3X, 4X. And so I grabbed a bunch of 2X clothes, sweaters. I was looking for sweaters, and I grabbed a bunch of 2X, and it turns out that they were all too big. So then I went and grabbed 1X, but one sweater that I really liked a lot didn't have a 1X, it had a 0X. And I was so surprised because it actually fit. And someone commented and told me that was like a 14-16. I'm like, really? Like a 14-16? Like, I was literally like a 28, size 28 before. And to have a size like 14-16 fit, I was a little bit skeptical. But today my daughter was picking out clothes to wear for work, and she pulled out this sweater that she had. And I looked at it and I go, that looked like it potentially could even possibly fit me. And so she said, here, try it on. And I tried it on, and it actually fit. It's actually a medium. And I thought, okay, wait a minute, this runs big. So she started pulling out some of her other clothes, and they actually fit. Like, I tried on a large size sweater of hers, and it was actually a little bit big, which was surprising. So I don't know. I honestly think I'm losing weight like from the top down, because I think for the bottom half, like pant size, to catch up, it's going to take a little while. but that was so cool. So I wanted to also talk about, like, I've had so many benefits over this year. Like, it was end of May that I started the carnivore diet this year. And I I was just, for any of you who haven't been watching me for very long, I was 339 pounds, my first weigh in, which was like 3 days after I started the carnivore diet, maybe four. So I know I had to have been over 340 pounds. I was limping around, could hardly do anything. And I had been on medical leave for almost a full year with a mast cell activation syndrome flare. So all I was able to do is just lay around. And I really think that's why I was limping, because I really kind of messed up my lower back with all the laying around. And so to go on the carnivore diet for me was out of desperation. And I know that's the case for so many people, is that you get desperate because your health is in such bad condition and you just need a change. And so I didn't know how much it would help me. But as week goes by, week after week after week, as I'm reporting in on my results, and I've had such amazing encouragement from the carnivore community, it's been so motivating. And I feel as though coming to the end of this year now that I'm a different person. Like, I actually want to go out and do activities. One of the things that I was really struggling with not only being so excessively overweight, morbidly obese, but just being in so much pain all the time. And with my mast cell disease, I was extremely reactive. Like, I would react to all sorts of things, and I'd get throat swelling and dizziness and nausea, lots of times abdominal pain, and it was scary. And so I never knew when it was going to hit me. And so I was always like, I couldn't commit to doing anything. Like, if people would ask me, to go out and take part in an activity, I would have to say maybe, because I just never knew how I was going to feel from day to day. And that's one of the biggest changes that has happened over the course of this year, is that I can actually commit to doing things, and I don't have to worry that I'm going to have to back out at the last minute, because that's really not the type of person I am, to like back out on people. I want to be able to keep my commitments. And so I just stopped making commitments. And so that's been a huge, huge deal. Like, I can actually plan something ahead of time and go and do it. Another thing that I can do, that I actually want to do, is be physically active and participate in physical activities, go for walks. I've been doing these mall walks. I've been going out and walking. My husband and I have been out geocaching. And that is something that I could not have done before. Like, literally, I've taken a couple of hills lately, and there's no way I could have taken those hills before, because I mean, I'm already like out of breath by the time I reach the top. But before, I would have just turned around and said, no, I'm not even going to try to go up that hill, because I know that I wouldn't make it. So that's been such a huge benefit. My reactivity with my mast cell activation syndrome is so much better. Like, I have been working so much on keeping the higher histamine foods out of my life, which has meant that I've had to be incredibly restrictive with my diet. And for the 6 weeks that I did the lion diet, like, literally it was just beef and lamb and Redmond salt, and that's it. And I have become so much less reactive, and the throat swelling episodes are hardly any now. If I do have them, they're much more minimal. But I was really concerned, because like, I couldn't do the iodine supplement, that the liquid iodine supplement. And I know with the diet that I have been on, with it being just the beef and the lamb, the concern was about me and my iodine, whether I'm getting iodine deficient, because I wasn't even doing seafood. But I'm so much less reactive now, that I can actually have like a couple drops of the Lugol's iodine in my water. I put it in there with my element electrolytes. I take 2 drops, and I can actually take it without my throat swelling. And I know that I did a video before on histamine and, low histamine for a carnivore diet. And I know I talked about a histamine bucket. And the fact is that, so if you have histamine intolerance or if you have mast cell disease like I do, you get your ability to tolerate histamine and higher histamine things in your environment varies depending on the individual. And so for mast cell disease, the histamine bucket is like little, not real big. It's like, it doesn't take a whole lot of histamine exposure for me to start getting reactive. But the goal for me was to just, if you have a very full histamine bucket, like you can feel fine. And then if your bucket's full because you've been exposed to so much histamine, it just takes a little bit more to kind of overflow it. And so the key is to avoid the high histamine things as much as you can to kind of deplete the bucket. Let that bucket go down. And I really feel as though now, after being on the Lion diet for 6 weeks and being so strict with my diet, that my histamine bucket is empty enough that I can tolerate now some higher histamine things like the iodine supplement. I'm able to drink it, and it doesn't make my throat swell anymore. So that has been huge. And I wasn't sure when I went into the Lion diet how long it would take for that to happen. But I was only on it for 6 weeks, and then I started adding back seafood. And I feel as though that was enough, because at least as far as my throat swelling goes, I'm doing better. Now, eating some dairy and eating eggs last night, no, that was not a good thing. But it wasn't throat swelling that I experienced. It was really bad abdominal cramping. My gut obviously still has healing to do. Max, are you whining? Max is whining here next to me. Hello, baby. Hello. He's like, why are you up here? It's probably getting close to time for him to eat. But anyways, the improvements I've seen have been pretty incredible. And, I'm looking forward to my daughter's wedding in May. And one thing is that I haven't told my out-of-state family that I'm even really, well, I've told my sister, but my sister hasn't seen me for over a year or close to a year. And my brother and my sister-in-law, like the last time I visited them, they actually told me that they were really concerned about my health because of my weight. And which I completely understand. I mean, I was incredibly overweight. And so they haven't seen me at all since I started eating a carnivore diet. So when they come for the wedding in May, it will be the first time they've seen me since I was at my highest weight. And I can't wait to see their reaction, because they have no idea. None. I haven't told them I'm doing this YouTube channel, haven't told them anything. And they're very, very health conscious. And I know that they will be very happy to see that I've lost a lot of weight. But, anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions. Dave and I have been talking a little bit about what do we want to accomplish over the next year. And honestly, I'm typically not one to make New Year's resolutions. And that goes back to what I was talking about with the not making any commitments, because I just couldn't make commitments before. So I didn't make New Year's resolutions. It was pointless. My mindset was, oh, I'm going to fail. It's a no-brainer. I'm not going to succeed. But I don't feel that way this year. So I think one of my New Year's resolutions is going to have to do with my physical fitness. Because I seem to be losing the weight really without a lot of effort, because this carnivore diet is easy for me. It's been so simple, and it's become part of my life. It's just routine for me now. And I I get meat out of the freezer. I can put it in my sous vide frozen. I just season it with Redmond salt. I let it sous vide and then I air fry it to brown it. And that's my meat. Or I'll take ground beef. Like I like to take like two 1 pound packages of ground beef and a 1 pound package of ground lamb, and then I combine them and I just salt it like crazy. I like to put a lot of salt in everything. But then I just make up a batch of that and knead it all together really well. And then I have that in the fridge and I can take it out whenever I want to just have a burger patty. And I mean, my burger patties are like the size of my face. They're big. Like I have liners for my air fryer. I'll get a liner and I'll put enough ground beef and I'll kind of smash it all down on the bottom and just to where it covers the entire bottom of the air fryer lining. And then I'll air fry it. And of course it shrinks down because it loses the fat, but it shrinks down a little bit. But then I've got this big, huge burger patty. In fact, that's probably what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. But the food part of it has been so easy for me. What's still not easy is pushing myself with it when it comes to physical fitness. I am enjoying the activity that I'm doing. Absolutely, yes, I'm enjoying it. But to actually push myself beyond my limits, still a little bit hesitant there with when it comes to that. So I have decided I am going to do a plank challenge for January. And like right now, I cannot do a plank, or at least the last time I tried, which was when I first started losing weight. Like I laid down on the floor and I tried to do a plank and I could not do one at all. Like I was literally couldn't even get myself off the ground. But I've gained over 20 pounds of muscle at this point. And so I decided I'm going to try it again. So I think January 1st, I'm going to record myself trying to do a plank. Now, I may be absolutely morbidly embarrassed because I have no idea if I could even get myself off the ground. But this is what the challenge is about, right? You start out with something that you can't do or you can't do well. And then you, hopefully by the end of the month, you've seen improvement. So I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to make a fool of myself and I'm going to go ahead and try it. And if I start out where I can't even get my belly off the ground, so be it. I will just keep trying. I will give it a try every day until I can actually do a plank. And then we'll see how long I get to where I can hold it by the end of the month. But I want to start with that because physical fitness is going to be something that I need to have be really important for me because I want to do things. I want to be able to dance at my daughter's wedding. I want to be able to go hiking. And, there's so many things that I want to do. Like I've spent my whole adult life feeling horrible and being horribly out of shape. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of not being able to participate in life. Like I remember going on a cruise and I looked at the excursion list and there's all these things I would have loved to do, but couldn't do because of my weight. Like I'd love to go zip lining, but there's a weight limit. So I can't go zip lining. As you know, if you've been watching me long enough, I'd love to go flying with my husband, but I can't fit into his airplane. So there's other things. I mean, even like with the shore excursions I was looking at, even off-roading, like on a 4-wheel drive, there was a weight limit and I exceeded the weight limit. So it's like everything that I would love to be able to do, I can't do because there's a weight limit. So that's why I have a goal to become more physically active and to work on my fitness for this coming year so that I can actually do those things that I would like to try to do. And the biggest one, of course, is fitting into Dave's airplane and being able to go flying for him because I have never been able to fly with him. We've been married now for 33 years and I've never flown with my husband in his airplane. So I will probably come up with other resolutions, but for now, I think that's a big one. And I don't know if I need more than one because, like I said, the weight's been coming off pretty steadily. And I like to attack resolutions with something that's going to stretch me, like mentally too, and emotionally. It's something that's outside of my comfort zone. And so right now, the weight loss and the diet is now inside my comfort zone. The thing that's still outside my comfort zone is pushing myself physically. And I used to deal with a tremendous amount of anxiety and like horrible, horrible anxiety. I would have horrible panic attacks like all through my 20s. And if you've gone back and listened to my story, you'll know that I was actually hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital because of severe clinical level anxiety. And I was there for 5 days. This was when I was in my early 30s. So it was over 20 years ago. But um, my history of anxiety and I was one of those anxious people that was like a hypochondriac and super sensitive to my body, and any ache or pain or body sensation that I had that to me didn't seem normal, I would get very anxious about it. And I would think that I had something seriously wrong with me. And during that phase where I was so anxious, I became afraid of being like breathing heavily or feeling my heart beat, because I was just, it was to me, I mean, if you've ever dealt with anxiety and panic attacks, you know that a racing heart is part of it. Hyperventilating is part of it. Sometimes heart palpitations are part of it. And so the heavy breathing and the heart, feeling my heart beat was a source of anxiety for me. That has carried over into my issue with pushing myself with exercise. So I really think that that is a huge thing for me to really work on this coming year, is to overcome that. And I need to get my heart in better condition, because I can imagine it's in horrible condition. Well, hello. It's so nice to see you here. I was hoping that people could come and join me. I don't know if anyone wants to join me, but if you do, let me see. I'll post the link here. There you go. This is my first time doing this live stream, so it's nice to see you here. But yeah, anyway, so the New Year's resolution is to get in better physical shape and to push myself. I have a goal to complete a 5K. Now, I don't expect to complete this 5K running because I don't know. I know, you never know. It might happen, but right now, just walking like I can do about a mile and a half of walking, and I don't really tweak my knee. But to actually be able to complete a 5K for me is going to be a huge deal. So that is one of my goals I'm going to do this year, is to complete a 5K. If I can jog some of it, that'll be fantastic. If I can't, then that's fine too, as long as I complete it. And I may end up doing more. I may end up enjoying them. I've heard that people who do 5Ks, they say that they absolutely really have such a great time that they really enjoy it and they end up doing more. But right now, so I'm doing the mall walks, and we actually get about 2 laps around the interior of the mall is about a mile and a half. So I'm pushing myself. Now, I think another one of my goals, and I don't know how to make this a goal. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But I know this is kind of gross, but I don't sweat. I do not perspire. And I don't know if that has something to do with my thyroid. And I think that is one reason why I have a lot of trouble too, like getting over my mold toxicity. I did test positive for mold toxicity, and it's not my house, because I had the really good professional inspection done on my house, and my house is very clean and it doesn't have mold issues at all. So I read that like 1 in 4 people have that gene that makes it so that you don't really clear out mold from your body very well. And I'm suspecting that may be me. And so I know my naturopathic doctor said he wants me to sweat and see if I can get detoxed from the mold by sweating. And, it's a challenge, because with my mast cell activation syndrome, heat is a trigger for my reactions, with my throat swelling. Heat is my biggest trigger. Now I'm so happy that my reactivity is much less now, but I've got to figure out a way to start sweating. I am able to take a really hot bath, and for some reason that doesn't trigger my throat swelling. I think it's because it's not my whole body encompassed in the heat. But somehow I've got to start sweating. So if you have any ideas of how I can work up a sweat without getting overheated and causing a mast cell reaction, that would be so great. Because I'd love to be able to naturally detox from the mold. So let's see. Been housebound for 3 years due to anxiety, so I can relate. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, I was saying my anxiety is so much better. I did actually get diagnosed many years ago. I was in my early 30s, and I mentioned that I was actually hospitalized for 5 days in a psychiatric hospital because my anxiety was so bad. But they did diagnose me along with the severe anxiety with agoraphobia, because I got so anxious leaving my house. And my therapist had me do exposure therapy in Costco. For some reason, Costco is a huge trigger for my social anxiety. It's just to be so overwhelming. And so he told me, just go in, and even if it was just like for a minute or two, just go in, and while I'm there, to just tell myself I'm safe. And so I did. And I just slowly worked up to being able to go out and get exposed to things. And it worked. It did help. And so it's not like Costco isn't still a little trigger for me. And all the socials, like really busy, a lot of activity around me can still be a little bit of a trigger for me, but it's absolutely nothing. I haven't had an actual panic attack. Oh my gosh. I feel like it's been over a decade. And I'm not on any medication. I had been on medication back when I, first was hospitalized. Of course, yes, I was on anxiety medication, and I was on medication for depression. I did a lot of therapy. I did an outpatient, like a partial hospitalization program after I was discharged from being hospitalized. And that really helped a lot. But it just took time. But the exposure therapy absolutely helped. And it's scary, though. I totally get it, to step out. But I think for me, that verbally telling myself I'm safe was helpful. One of the other things that was so helpful for me, I would tell, when I explain this to people, I tell them I just lie to myself, because that's literally what I did. I would lie to myself and tell myself, like, apps like I could hear. I wouldn't just whisper. I wouldn't say it internally. I'd actually vocalize. I feel great. I have no anxiety. I love going outside. I love being with people. I would verbalize all of that. And it's amazing how much your body responds to what you tell it. And at some point, it turns out that it's not a lie anymore. And I still employ that strategy when I feel like I'm not feeling that great, or I am feeling maybe a little bit of anxious. I will tell myself that I feel great. And I actually can feel a change in my body when I say that. Hi, Cheryl. So, wow, love your goals. I don't sweat much either. I take hot showers to sweat, then I do a cold shower. Yeah, I would love, like, I have to do the hot baths. Like, I can't take a hot shower at all because I get a mast cell reaction because of the heat in the shower is like totally surrounding me. But I can take the hot baths. I can't do cold showers either. It makes my throat swell as well. But it's nice to be able to actually, I can, if I'm really careful, I have it really hot as far as the bath goes, like almost to the point where it's almost gonna be too hot. I can see like a tiny little bit of beads of sweat just on my inside of my wrists, and that's it. So it's like, Yeah, sweating is a challenge. I would love to be able to do a cold plunge. So I went to my son's house. Good, good. Yeah, I know the carnivore diet can really help so much with anxiety. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a live stream with Carrie from My Metamorphosis, and she really had us a good story for how her anxiety has improved. Hi, Barb. Good to see you. But yeah, I know so many of us deal with anxiety, and the carnivore diet is definitely really helpful. And but it's interesting. So I went to a Christmas Eve service. Um, Now our church, I've mentioned before, our church is a satellite, smaller campus off of the big, huge campus. Well, we went to the big campus for a Christmas. It was like Christmas Eve. It was last Friday night, and I have mast cell like issues with noise vibrations. So I wasn't sure how I was going to do. I did end up needing to leave because the music was loud, and it was amazing, and the music is incredible, but they had a big huge drum in the front, kind of like the one where you had the big old huge handles and a big huge drum, and that thing was going, and it was just like I could feel inside. I guess the best way to describe it is kind of like somebody with epilepsy that can have a reaction because start having a seizure with lights, with too many flashing lights. For me, it's the vibration from noise, particularly like music vibration, that I can start to feel inside, like my mast cells start to do what, start to degranulate. And so I had to leave. Fortunately, it was out in the lobby. They had like TV screens, and I could actually watch from there. I had to wait until the music was over. So I'm not saying that my reactivity is completely gone. Um, but at least now I understand what it is, and I know to leave. And in the past, and sometimes I'm wondering too how much in the past I would get my anxiety would be because I didn't know that I needed to leave. Um, but yeah, Costco is still it's okay. Like I can't stay in there for more than about 15-20 minutes, and then it gets too overwhelming for me. But I don't think it's all my anxiety, because I also have a vestibular conduction disorder on my left side. So that basically means, if you're not familiar with it, it's a nerve that goes between like your eyes and your ears and your brain. And there's one on each side, and they funnel in together and meet in the brain. And your eyes and your ears take sensory inputs from what's around you, and they're supposed to conduct all those inputs together and be cohesive once it hits your brain. But my left side doesn't conduct the inputs properly. So what I see and hear out of this eye and this ear hits my brain differently than what comes in on this side. It's so annoying. And what ends up happening is I end up having like disequilibrium, and it can make me feel dizzy. It can make me feel really off centered, off balance. It can blur my vision. So I think that's part of the issue I have with Costco and shopping, is that it's also triggering my vestibular issue as well. It's kind of annoying just having these health problems. I don't know yet whether the carnivore diet is going to heal my nervous system, because it's a nerve conduction disorder. I've heard that it can, but it takes time. And so I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised if it took longer, but I'm hoping that over time that the vestibular issue, you know, heals up as well, because that is super annoying. But anyways, so yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying this plank challenge. Even though I know that it's going to be embarrassing, but I guess this whole year for me has been about stepping out of my comfort zone. And it's been such a blessing, honestly, because I've actually now have so many people that I know that I didn't know before. And I've been so amazed at how the carnivore community just comes together. We support each other. And Yeah, it's been been so meaningful. So do you have the problem with the noise of planes? Oh, I guess I'm gonna find out. Yeah, because it would be a shame if I had problems if I can't join him in the cockpit. We wear these things over our ears, so I think I'll be okay because I think that blocks out like vibration. Well, actually, to be honest, I don't know because the vibration actually isn't what comes through my ears. I will find out. I don't know if that's the type. Like I've been around his airplane when it's on, um, because he pulls it out of the hangar and then he does his walk around and then he'll start it up, and he'll hang out there with it for a few minutes while he's sitting there doing his, you know, check inside the cockpit. And I've been around that and it hasn't caused me any problems. So cross my fingers. Hopefully it will not cause me issues. Um, but I'm going to go. I really want to have him fly me over to Orcas Island. If you're not familiar with the Pacific Northwest in the Puget Sound area, there's a bunch of islands out there in the Puget Sound. And the Orcas Island is this island that's shaped like a horseshoe. It's our favorite place to go. Like we could get over there by ferry, but he likes to go over, he takes people all the time. He likes to go over there and just fly over there. Like it would take us, well, we'd have to drive like about an hour, 15 minutes north to get the ferry that goes over there. And then it's another hour or so on the ferry to get over there. So we're looking at 3.5 hours to get over there that way. Whereas he can fly over there in 20 minutes. And the airport there has a loaner car for the pilots. And so I think that what I want to do when we go up for the first flight is I want him to take me over to Orcas Island and get the loaner car. And we have so many things that we enjoy doing there on the island. It's like stepping into a piece of paradise and I love it. And especially like April, May, it's pretty incredible in the spring. So I will take plenty of video when we do that and of that whole experience because I'm actually a little nervous though, to be honest, because I have never flown in a small plane before. And I know everyone that has flown with him, I've been told they love it and have said he's a pretty amazing pilot and his landings are super smooth and so hopefully it will be wonderful. And if you ever get to the Pacific Northwest and Orcas Island is an amazing place to go visit. Honestly, it's kind of a bit of a getaway for a lot of famous people. I know Oprah used to have a house there and there's a lot of artists, and famous artists, not just, local artists, but famous artists that have homes there. And they have a really great art gallery. But I know we ran into this guy and he was about to bike up this trail that goes up this Mount Constitution, which is a really high and it has an incredible view. We've driven up there before, but he was going to bike it. But anyways, we were stopped at this lake at the base of the mount of the trail, and he stopped and talked to us. And everyone there is so friendly. Like literally, they will stop and talk to you and just chat. And because they have like all the time in the world on their hands. They live on an island, and a lot of them are retired. But this guy was kind of young. And we started talking to him and he's just casual, really friendly and everything. So turns out we find out that this guy is like worth millions. And we asked him like, how is it that like you're retired at this age? And he said that he had invested early in some company that just went through the roof and he cashed out and millions of dollars and bought a house on Orcas Island and now he lives there. And he told us that he loved living there because there's so many famous people there and everyone just leaves them alone and everyone's so chill and cool and nobody's making a big deal out of people's fame. So anyways, in one of these days, Dave said he'd like to buy a house there, but I don't know how I feel about living on an island. We'll see. I like to go there for a visit. But Anyways, well, I have been chatting now for almost 40 minutes, and I just wanted to come in and do this. I never do these on impromptu live streams, so I figured, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do one today and see if anyone's on. Just kind of gab at myself and with you guys and see what's going on. I hope that you all had a really great Christmas and made good food choices. So this Saturday is going to be interesting before I go. So this Saturday, Dave and I are going to go visit his cousin and her husband. They live just over the border in, yes, I'm glad you caught me with the chats too. But they live just over the border into British Columbia. Like they literally live like their house, the street, and then across the street is the U.S. border, is the U.S. So they're like literally right on the border. But anyways, we go visit them whenever we can. But they are like, she's a vegetarian, he's a vegan. It's going to be interesting. Like when we would go visit them before, we would just eat whatever, she would make. But now, and she knows that we are only eating meat. And she hasn't seen me for quite a while either. I think the last time we saw them, I had just started on the carnivore diet. And so I was quite large at that time. So it's going to be really interesting. But I have to talk to her and kind of coordinate the food because, first of all, I don't want to offend them. They are Seventh-day Adventists, and I know that for them, meat is a big thing. Yeah, I think we're going to bring salmon because sometimes they do have fish. And so I think salmon would be a good option. I don't want to be offensive in any way because I know that it's part of their religion, not eating meat. And so I think we're going to bring a cooler. We're going to bring salmon, and I'm going to bring my air fryer. And if we don't eat out. If we eat out, then I can go ahead and order whatever I want and just order meat. But it'll be interesting to see what they think because they haven't seen me for quite a while, and I've not only lost a lot of weight, but my skin is cleared up with my rosacea has cleared up. It's almost completely gone, and I was looking pretty bad. In fact, I was in such bad shape when we went and visited them last that I had to lay down in their house and kind of take a nap and rest because I was just feeling so horrible. Going anywhere was such a challenge and such a chore. And so now I know I'm going to be able to go and I'm going to feel good. So I'll probably be reporting in on how that goes. But I just want to be really sensitive to them because it's not like they're vegetarians just because, or for ethical reasons, like they just don't like the killing of animals. They are vegetarians because of the religious reasons. And so I want to be really careful, but they're cool. I mean, they know that we're not vegetarians. And so, but now we actually literally won't eat the vegetables. Whereas before we weren't vegetarians, but we would eat their vegetarian food. So it'll work out. I know the best thing is just to be able to go visit with them because I really enjoy when we go and visit, and we always have a nice time with them. So anyways, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm glad that some of you were able to join me, and I hope that everyone's having a wonderful week. Don't know if you're going to plan on some New Year's resolutions, but if you do, pick something that'll challenge you a little bit, but hold yourself accountable, find some people to help hold you accountable. And if you want to join me on the plank challenge, absolutely join me. Good night. I hope everyone has a fantastic week. Goodbye.